Oh my goodness, I don't know why I'm so nervous to film this video, but I suppose the time has come. To let you all know what I think you probably already know a little bit. I have all of my notes in here and I have been writing this out, my thoughts, my ideas for this video for a really long time. For the past 5 years, I have lived two distinct lives. The corporate lawyer in legal and compliance who has worked for the last 10 to 11 years in regulations, legislation, compliance frameworks, governance, presented to board meetings, presented to hundreds of people on the impact of regulations and particularly on the impact of content privacy and AI regulations. And then the academic, the interdisciplinary humanities enthusiast and who has a passion for academia, for learning, for research, for writing, for communities. And those two identities, those two people that exist in me and have existed in me for the last 5 years have not necessarily been at war with each other, but have been competing for resources, competing for my brain capacity, my mental health. And today I am here to announce that I am going to be merging the two of them. This week, I officially handed in my resignation at Google. This decision hasn't just been a decision that I've taken lightly, and I'll talk through that in a second, but I have one more work trip to go on to San Francisco, and then I will no longer be employed in a legal corporate world, and I will no longer be employed at Google. There is a number of reasons for this decision, but the main one, and the one you may have guessed at already, is because I will be doing a full-time PhD in English literature at Trinity College in Dublin. This isn't a sudden decision. If anything, I'm sure many of you have guessed that this is the announcement that I have been dropping hints at for months. And it is a journey that many of you have watched on this channel. And it has been fueled by the belief, now more than ever, that the world needs humanities over technology. And if you've been here since the beginning, you know that my channel, my little corner of the internet, has always been about my returning to academia, and it has been about my deep love and passion for academia, for literature, and the pursuit of knowledge in learning and in research. My content has flitted and evolved and changed from being solely about books to being about admissions to being about returning to academia. It has been about balancing a working and professional life with a studious academic life. And ultimately, what I've realized it has come down to is that it has been a channel for advocating for lifelong learning and the pursuit of intellectual curiosity and knowledge. The move to a PhD, therefore, for me has not been necessarily a pivot, but it has been a recognition of who I am deep down as a person. It has been the recognition of an identity that has been stored within me for years. And the moving away from that corporate life, that corporate world, is not a rejection necessarily of that identity of myself. I still love law, and I still love, and I've always loved working in legal. But while my corporate role gave me immeasurable skills, stability, financial freedom, not only to pursue my passion in learning and in English literature, but to buy a house, have a family, and support myself in that realm. And for that, I will forever be grateful, because Google has been the most fantastic workplace in supporting me to get to this position. Not only has it been a stable source of finances and income for me, but it has been adaptable and flexible and supportive in allowing me to pursue this while I work. And it has embraced me for being that person. It has embraced me for being this version of myself. A fantastic example is during team meetings, we do a temperature check where we put in how we're feeling based on a word. And every single team meeting that I put in a word that is not necessarily tired or excited or energized or something like that. I put in a ridiculous word that is a synonym of whatever I'm feeling. So in our last team meeting yesterday, I put in attenuated, for example. And everyone's gotten to know that this is my little quirk. The idea that I put in a ridiculous, verbose or bombastic word in order to teach people different words. And it's become a thing that I do in our team meetings now. And my managers have been so supportive and so great in allowing me the space and the time to study and to take the time out to study and to support me in that space, knowing that there was a possibility of losing me, because I was always very open and honest with them that if the PhD came around, that I might leave. And they knew that. They knew that going in. They knew that when I was given leadership responsibilities. They knew that when I was given role opportunities. They knew that throughout my period of employment while I was pursuing this path, I was always open and honest with them about where my priorities actually stood, and they respected that and supported that. And for that, I will be forever grateful. But the thing is that I just cannot continue to work and study part-time. If you've been around here for a while, you'll know that my health, my mental health has taken a real hit because of the amount of stress that I have put my body under for the last couple of years. I feel unrecognizable, quite frankly, from a version of myself that I was a couple of years ago. And while I wouldn't have done it any differently, at this point I face the choice of either continuing to put my body and my mind under strain or not enjoying this opportunity that I have been given to pursue something that I feel so incredibly privileged and passionate about, and just such a reflection of who I am as a person. And I knew when I got the offer for a PhD, I got an offer from Oxford, I got an offer from Trinity. Trinity was always my first choice. And I knew that when I got that offer, I had to take it. I had to take this opportunity. I had to go back full-time into academia and engulf myself in this reality. And I felt like I was being given a sign that this is where I needed to be. It's not to say that there may not be a time later on down the line where I won't return to Google or return to the working world. But at this present moment, this is what I've been working towards for the last couple of years, and I have to take this opportunity. I want to take this opportunity. I want to be able to explore this side of academia. And this might come as a shock, I think, to some people who are new here, because the humanities are being threatened across the world, and there is a crisis in academia. There is a significant crisis in academia, and I want to talk about this for a bit because I feel really passionate about it, and I'd love to talk about it more on this channel. But this decision is also an active response to the current crisis that faces humanities. We have seen that university institutions are destroying themselves from the inside. They are marginalizing the importance of humanities, and this has been the result of a shift towards a focus on technical specialities and profit that has been coming through the institutions for a number of years. This isn't something that's just happened overnight, and if you want more information, I would recommend Adam Walker's video. I will link it in the description box below. It has been so illuminating to me to see this side of it, and has felt so timely that he has been talking about this in his videos. But the traditional academy is struggling. And so you might be asking, why have I decided to go back to that? Why have I decided to engage in the traditional academic institution if that is my opinion? And the reason is quite simple. The reason is that I want to break open the gates to those institutions, and it is much easier to break open those gates from the inside. I have been, for the last couple of years, I have clawed at those gates. I have scaled the walls. I have scraped my hands and my knees on years upon years of ancient stone that have tried their absolute best to keep me out. I have been a champion for continuing education. I have been a champion for mature learning. I have been a champion for going and pursuing what is important here. But academic institutions don't always value that, and they have tried to keep me out, and I have clawed my way in. And now that I am in, I want to open that up for others that are following in my wake. I don't say this from a place of martyrdom or struggle. I say this from a place of where I have had the privilege, I've had the financial privilege to be able to pursue this. Because of the work that I have done, because of my full-time job, I have been able to get my foot in the door. I have been able to work really, really hard to get there. And now the purpose is for me to be that bridge between that academic institution and the wider world that is in pursuit of that knowledge. This is the foundation of how the people thought about learning in the Renaissance period. It's half of the reason why I feel an affinity to early modern scholarship and to early modern knowledge, is because there is a distinct pushback against structural systems. And I want to be a part of that, a small part of that, a tiny freckled part of that, but I want to be a part of that. And everything that I have been doing to this point has been leading me here. I am pursuing this PhD because I have a deep belief, a deep grounding personal reason that by being here, I can provide that experience to others. Through this channel, through my work in Accepted, through my community that I have developed on YouTube, on Substack, and I'll talk more about that, but essentially I want my work to be grounded in what is enduring and true to the heart of humanities, and that is providing that community space and providing that knowledge to anyone who is seeking it. And that is the hope, that I can be the bridge, that humanities can be the bridge between the academy and the public, teaching us how to reason and persuade and read and think critically in a dialogue with each other, and not in a space of perpetual conflict and crisis. This is the time for academics to publicly engage and show their work and their worth. In some cases, thinking about how they can dismantle the profitability that has haunted the corridors of academic institutions. I truly believe that the humanities are the last defense. The world will soon be encompassed by AI-generated content and a rhetoric that is founded not in human experience. And it will be hungry. I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe that the world is going to be hungry for functioning human beings, for humanistic elements, for handmade items, for writing, for reading books, for all those humanistic elements that make us human, that make us experience feelings and emotion and make us connect with strangers because of those media. By pursuing this PhD, I hope to be a small part of that humanities renaissance and promoting that humanities renaissance in the world. A big part of that is the work that I do with Accepted Society and having a community that exists outside of an academic institution, because I know that these kind of institutions have their walls up and that it is a privilege for me to be a part of it, but I still want to bring the brilliance of community to those that exist outside of the academic institutions. The decision to be a part of a humanistic renaissance would not be possible at all without Accepted Society. The community is incredible. I'm in awe of all of our members that are there. This community embodies, embraces, encompasses this vision of independent researchers, academics, humanities, sciences, everyone who enjoy an academic life outside of the walls of a university. A community of lifelong learners who have changed my life. And when Kaylin asked me to join when Kaylin asked me to be her business partner in the running of Accepted last year in April, I will never forget that day. I will never forget the feeling that I had that this was another sign in that direction. We have worked tirelessly to make the community a space, to make the community the space that it is today, a member-led run community. And the hope was, when Kaylin and I spoke about the growth of the community and what it might look like, the hope was that it would be able to support both her and I as we pursue our pathways outside of having a job. As with everything that happens, things adjust and things change. Kaylin went on to take a fantastic opportunity with Ali Abdaal and has since left that job and needed to be in a position, the community and the business needed to be in a position to support her in that role. And we've had to make adjustments, we've had to make changes to how we function, because at the end of the day, it is a business and it requires not only to support the community, but it requires to support a team of incredibly hardworking individuals. Polly and Clea, who run the PhD program, Cait, our community liaison, Amber, resident journal and writers corner facilitator, and Claudia, who manages our incredible content. And the business needed to support that, those people and the community in expanding and in growing. And so we had to make adjustments. We had to figure out and make plans for how this was going to look. And the hope was that eventually I would be able to leave Google and also be supported. As I said, that milestone kind of shifted depending on what was the priority at the time. And I have not, since we started developing the company as it is today in July last year, I have not taken on a salary apart from covering money that I invested into the business when we first started, to cover off expenses, and then while we were getting things set up. Kaylin and I are committed to this community. Does it provide a salary on which I can live? Barely. And as I say, that will only kick in when I officially leave in a month's time. I will need to be reliant on this channel. I will need to be reliant on my Substack community. I will need to be reliant on those kinds of streams of income to support myself, and I will be leaning quite a bit on my partner. And that is the reality of it. I will have a grant for my studies, which is super duper helpful, but the community and the welfare of its members will always come first for me. My priority has always been in supporting those within the community and centering this idea of pursuing what is important to you, of pursuing research, of pursuing knowledge, of pursuing lifelong learning, and embodying that as a means of showing people, not just in the community, but on this channel, that it is possible, that it takes hard work, sure, but that it is truly possible. Accepted space provides that home, that belonging, that support for those who cherish this idea of learning, of research, of art, language, sciences, philosophy, psychology, medicine, everything. It provides a space for you to be seen and for you to be among those that will support you. A family, truly. And I think the great thing is that Kaylin and I have discussed this idea of letting the community grow as it wants to grow, not pushing it to be this commercially viable space or this commercially successful business. It is a business, it has to operate as a business, but it is first and foremost a community, and keeping it as such, letting it continue to flourish with its members at the forefront, because their energy, their commitment, their enthusiasm for the community is what sustains it, is what makes it the magical place that it is. It's not Kaylin and myself by any means. It is actually the members of the community that make it what it is. And looking ahead, we are just going to be focusing on that, focusing on those community-centered activities. We will definitely be having more writing retreats. We will continue to host our annual symposium, which is the most incredible event that we host every year. And we have our base community, our scholars membership, which allows you access to the community and to the study sessions and to the society events and the Accepted Academy, where we host talks and share that knowledge amongst not only the members of the community, but here on YouTube. And then we have our additional programs, our PhD program, which is so fantastic and which I've recently joined in as a student. And then we have our researchers program, which is focused on researchers, does what it says in the tin. It's for independent researchers or those that are coming back into academia and need to get a sense of what those research skills are like. Because let me tell you, going back into academia where you haven't been there for a while, that essay anxiety comes back with full vengeance. And the researchers program is aimed at helping those to get those skills and to produce work that they feel passionate about. Because at the heart of something like the researchers program, PhD, and the community is the sense of you as a researcher and you as a primary member of the community. So to finish off, I will be starting my PhD at Trinity. You will see tons of PhD content on this channel. But as I mentioned, this role of mine is to bridge the gap between those academic institutions and those existing outside of the academy, taking rigorous inquiry from the university citadel to sharing it generously amongst anyone who wants to pursue that. I just want to say thank you for supporting me on this journey. Thank you for supporting me on this channel. I am going to be relying on you so much more than I have in the past. So I really appreciate you being here and supporting me, and I can't wait to share this next chapter with you all. Thank you for being here. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.